So hi, I'm Bryce.
I'm Brad.
I'm Sandra.
And I'm Katie. We're doing a project over the STEM principles and kind of how they relate to the Department of Education and career fields going into the STEM field. So from the Department of Education's viewpoint, they're trying to get students more involved in the STEM fields, and they want to get them from the middle of the range to the higher part. So there's a few programs and other things that they're trying to set up in order to achieve this.
So one of the biggest things that we've been looking at is President Obama's. One of the things that he's been trying to do is creating this program called Educate to Innovate. And so the idea behind this is that he's spent over $1 million, or $1 billion actually, to try to work through and create a couple different things to help students who are up and coming and teachers who are up and coming into the field of STEM, to help them out and help them develop a new wave of industrial and STEM-minded individuals in America. And so one of the things that he's been trying to do, according to the whitehouse.gov, is building a CEO-led coalition where he wants to create a better private sector for the students to work in. And he's gotten people like Glenn Britt from Time Warner Cable and Sally Ride and Clegg Burnett of Intel and places like that that are very heavily involved in the science and technology field to try to expand the proven STEM education requirements and programs that are already throughout the country, things like Project Lead the Way, and trying to get more involved or more private sector things involved to help students really understand what's going on. Another thing that the Obama administration has really been trying to do is prepare over 100,000 new and effective STEM teachers, the ideal word there being effective, trying to develop these teachers to be able to understand exactly how the STEM education works and how to help students understand that. Other things is just developing more diverse STEM talent pools, so involving more women in STEM departments and more minorities and things like that. And so that's one of the things, or just a couple of the things that President Obama has been trying to do ever since 2009 when he launched the Educate to Innovate initiative.
So, like Katie mentioned, our project is on STEM and the Department of Education and President Obama's Educate to Innovate. And according to phase one of our project, we are going to use formative assessment to judge, or we think formative assessment is a good way to judge whether or not Educate to Innovate is successful. So formative assessment is just using a whole bunch of different methods and strategies to decide if a student understands something or not. According to one of our sites called STEM Teaching Tools, they say that this focuses assessment on making sense of phenomena and not just being able to recall facts. So one example is just going up to a group of students and asking a question and seeing if they can answer it instead of like giving a test. And so since formative assessment can gauge whether or not a student understands something, we think it would be a good thing to use to judge the effectiveness of Educate to Innovate and what effect it might have on STEM fields.
All right. As Sandra mentioned here, so the idea of this program is to both engage students and improve their overall knowledge of science. And there is an article on The Wire that is discussing the difference between this policy and the policy No Child Left Behind that was introduced in 2001 with George Bush. And it is describing how the main idea behind this policy is Obama is trying to make science cool again. So to do this, they've provided $4.35 billion in federal grants, and they've also teamed up with the private sector to provide an additional $260 million in related funding and programs. This article really points out how important it is to connect with that private sector, not just to provide funding, but also the idea of hopefully providing more of a streamline for the students from the classroom to maybe internships and such to get directly involved with the organization.
And so one of the main ways that we're going to go about this is we're going to try to actually go out and talk to teachers who are in the STEM field right now and see if they've noticed any difference in over the past few years since the introduction of Educate to Innovate. See if they've seen any difference in how STEM is treated and how formative assessment is actually useful for this type of a situation. And then we're going to try to actually talk to students and see if they've had any idea about what's going on or how they can, what kind of things that they've noticed. So over the next few podcasts, hopefully we can start to answer these questions. Thanks a bunch.